Okay, so when I changed my profile picture to Jeanette and I standing on the rocks, which shortly after I received a message from her asking me to take it down, I knew this was a moment that I was not going to disagree, and I was not going to, and I was going to step down and do exactly as she asked out of respect, because she respected me after I had arrived in Oda, and wanted to know when we were going to meet. Now this sounds really really crazy and really like, oh my god, she actually she actually respected me when I asked about when we were going to meet. Isn't that doesn't that sound stupid that I came 3,500 miles, drove all the way from Trondheim to Oda, and I have to feel respected just for wanting to meet and give her the tiles that she had always showed interest in, that she agreed that we would meet. But like I said, that was the nature of the friendship. It was always me showing the interest in her, and she was always accepting my interest and then reciprocating and encouraging more of my interest. So you know, I don't know, should I have to be feeling like I was the dominant one by actually, but you have to understand that's the nature of the relationship. She wasn't going to all of a sudden say welcome to Oda as soon as I arrived that night. She was more reserved about it. She had another way of planning. And I knew this. She had another way of planning. Um, it was like we were thinking together. Is the best way of putting it. She knew that I would be faced with choices and decisions that would require me to think about what I should do next. And she was giving me time to understand what those would be before I mean, before I would make the next step in understanding, okay, what should I do next? And I was careful enough and thoughtful enough to realize this. So every time, it was the next step for me to take towards our friendship and for me to deliver the tiles to her. Um, it could have been, it wouldn't have allowed me to grow in that way if she had been the one to welcome me to Oda. It was me slowly, carefully. It's an art. It's a delicate balance that sometimes I can't believe that I was able to walk that tightrope, but I had approached the friendship with her so carefully and over such a long period of time, you know, uh, taking trips to Norway where I carved the tile of her, that I had grown, in this way. We knew each other in some way over social media and over the small amount of communication that we had. We knew each other in such a way where it was still a transitional moment when I was going to ask her when we were going to meet, because I wasn't going to come to Oda and say, "Hey Jeanette, can you meet me down at the coffee shop so I can give you these tiles?" It wasn't going to be like that. It was going to be this moment where I would ask her, when should we meet? I wasn't going to tell her. See, so so she learned a lot about me in that moment. Plus, at this point, we had already met, and she had already indicated that she liked me. So now, after 2 days, she's asking me to take my profile picture down of her and I. After 2 days, I I post a profile picture of us together, and that picture that we took together, and she asked me to take it down like 2 or 3 days after we met. Now remember, now if you listen to the story, I had carved a tile of two people holding hands. In the meantime, after we had met, I had changed my profile picture once before, incorporating her and I together after we had met. Now remember, I could just be an excited fan. I could just be an excited fan, like a Taylor Swift fan. Um, so by her asking me to take the profile picture down, but remaining my friend, also told me something about what she was feeling about me. It takes time for me to understand all this at the time. It was shocking to me that she wanted me to take the change my profile picture, which I did immediately. But as I continue to tell the story, you will see that it wasn't the end of the world. It told, by her asking me to do that and by me respecting her, it was a way that we actually ended up speaking non-verbally to each other about our feelings for one another. And I can only assume and look at it in retrospect and understand the importance of it was one of two times in the whole times that Jeanette and I were communicating over two-year period, over me being in Norway for 6 months. That was only one of two times where she asked me not to do something. Okay. When I changed my profile picture to Jeanette and I standing on the rock shortly after I received the message from her asking me to take it down, I knew this was a moment that I was not going to disagree, and I was going to step down and do exactly as she asked, out of respect. Because she respected me after I had arrived in Oda and wanted to know when we were going to meet. I knew it was not a time for me to challenge her. I didn't know exactly... I didn't know why exactly she wanted me to change my profile picture of us together. I didn't question her or ask why. Maybe she was one step ahead of me, and maybe she knew I liked her. Maybe she felt like I needed to calm down after the night before, having carved the tile of the two people holding hands. Maybe she was concerned how I would be treated by my friends on Facebook. Had I actually gained a following of people from Oda, had I actually